And an MSNBC columnist. And Scott, I want to start with you. Give us the sort of readout from inside that courtroom, because I think for a lot of people, 8 months seems like a pretty light sentence. What did the judge say? What was the sort of explanation for what kind of sentence he received?
Well, the judge was ramping up, Joy, towards the sentencing, saying that what Hodgkins was part of January 6th was quite serious, forcing the evacuation of Congress from the Capitol. And the prosecutors pulled out this big bazooka saying that Hodgkins was part of a domestic terror incident. It was clear the judge was going to sentence Hodgkins to some prison time, but there he is going 10 months below what the federal prosecutors recommended. And the question is, Joy, what message does that send to the other defendants? That it's wise for them to step forward, say you're sorry, plead guilty, and seek leniency? Or does it show that if you challenge the prosecutors, sometimes the judge does not go along with what the prosecutors want?
It is stunning to me, Glenn, in a country where Hervis Rogers, a 60-something-year-old man, is facing decades behind bars for voting a couple of months before his parole ran out. Decades, like 20-something years in prison. While this person who participated in attacking our Capitol, in which the lynch mob chanted, "Hang Mike Pence," and brought a noose to do it with, somebody who participated in attacking our government gets 8 months in prison? Really?
You know, Joy, there are some pros and some cons regarding the way the Hodgkins case finished up. You know, the one pro is that he pleaded guilty to obstructing a congressional proceeding, and that proceeding was the certification of the results of the presidential election. Why that's so important is because this defendant did precisely what Donald Trump told him to do at Donald Trump's pep rally. He said, go down to the Capitol and stop. Donald Trump used the word steal, but he was signaling stop the certification of the election because there was no steal going on in the Capitol. This defendant now, Hodgkins, will now go to prison for doing precisely what Donald Trump told him to do. But there's a significant con here. The significant con is that the lowest guideline sentence this insurrectionist should have received was 15 months. 15 to 21 months is what the federal guidelines said is the appropriate sentencing range. This judge inexplicably went 7 months lower, even though this is about as upsetting an obstruction of a congressional proceeding as we have ever seen. That, I predict, will inspire 500-plus other insurrectionists to say, maybe I should take my chances. Maybe I shouldn't plead guilty. Maybe I shouldn't cooperate and assist the prosecutors in going after other insurrectionists. Look at how lenient this judge just was on defendant Hodgkins. This sends the wrong message in my estimation.
I feel like the message that's being sent overall, to come back to you, Scott, is odd for a country that just, experienced an American version of the beer market putsch, and you're now seeing this sort of what seems to me like a quite light sentence. We have apparently now House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has picked his members of the January 6th Commission, and of the 5 people, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that he's put forward, three of them, Jim Banks, who's going to be the ranking member, Jim Jordan of Ohio, and a freshman named Representative Troy Nehls, all voted to not certify the election, meaning they voted for the insurrection. They are insurrectionists, and they're on the committee. I wonder what is the mood, sort of, among those on Capitol Hill looking at these sentences and, just in terms of your reporting, because it does feel like leniency is sort of going all around.
Well, we're not surprised to see Congressman Davis, who is the top Republican on the House Administration Committee, or Congressman Jordan, who also chairs a relevant committee, be part of this, to be the Republican selections. They have some type of jurisdiction here. But I talked to several members of Congress today who were asking me questions about the Hodgkins sentencing, and a couple things stood out. They asked me, what struck you most about what Mr. Hodgkins said in court? A couple things. First of all, he made clear what he did was foolish, that it wasn't a politician's fault, that it was his fault. But then, Joy, he made explicit, in his words, that Joseph R. Biden Jr. is the rightful president of the United States. He felt empowered, or he felt it relevant to say that. I'm not sure what message that sends the other defendants. Will there be a queue of other defendants who have to say just that in seeking leniency? It's just a strange time that that's reality.